We have an update on Fernando Alonso's decision to continue to compete in Formula One, so let's bloody talk about it. Sky Sports reports that Fernando Alonso is not considering any other team, and he will stay with Aston Martin. But that doesn't mean he's staying for the 2027 season. Sky Sports says that while he's not considering other teams, his decision hangs on the success or failure of Honda's engine upgrade. Alonso needs to see signs of competitiveness in Aston Martin and Honda for 2027 and beyond if he's to consider staying.
As he fears your Red Bull exit, why is he saying that? Is it just because you were trying to overtake Pierre Gasly for 6th place on the final lap in Bahrain, or is there something more deep-seated than that?
I don't know, to be honest. I just keep working, keep trying to improve the car. Now, naturally, Bahrain wasn't a great weekend for us. I think we were all pretty disappointed with that. And we just keep on trying to improve the car, come up with new ideas to try on the car. Competition is tough. And that's how I go about my weeks, just trying to improve the situation.
So he's getting the wrong end of the stick. You're not thinking of leaving Red Bull at any time?
No, I think just focus on commentating. I'll focus on driving. And then, you don't need to think about any other scenarios.
We just worry about you.
What's about your future? All talking about Mercedes, Aston, why not Ferrari?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, a lot of people are talking about it, except me. So, yeah. Like I said before, I just want to focus on my car, work with the people in the team. That's the only thing that I'm thinking about in Formula One at the moment. I'm very relaxed.
He was probably 8 or 9 or something, and after Wednesdays after school, because school was finished at 12, we went to the go-kart track, and it was in the wintertime, it was freezing. So I let the van run so he could warm up, and then we did 10 laps. Cold. I said, okay, go warm up. And then 3 minutes later, where is he now? I said, come on, drive. I'm still cold. I said, I don't care, drive. And then he couldn't move his fingers, and I didn't care. I wanted to test things because I was building engines and chassis change and things like that. And I wanted to have the result because I was, I wanted to move forward. Yeah. But then he was,
barely hold the steering wheel.
I'm cold and things like that. And then when the fingers warm up, then again, and that's very painful. And I said, shut up, you're all
trying to make me tough, I think.
Before we get into today's video, a warning. What you're about to hear is not just another silly season rumor. This is Red Bull actively blocking one of their own drivers from racing. It's Max Verstappen's father publicly shutting down reports about his son's future. And it's a leading F1 journalist telling Max point blank to leave Red Bull for Adrian Newey. 3 separate stories, 1 team, 1 growing question mark. So what is actually going on at Red Bull right now? Let's break it down. Let's start with the story that's flying under the radar, but honestly might say the most about where Red Bull's head is at right now. Yuki Tsunoda, Red Bull's own reserve driver, tried to get some actual track time this year. After being dropped from the race seat alongside Verstappen at the end of 2025, replaced by Isak Hadjar, Tsunoda has spent almost all of 2026 doing nothing, sitting in the garage. Reserve duty, no races. So when the chance came up to compete in the GT World Challenge Australia, driving a Mercedes-AMG GT3 for Tagani Motorsport at the Adelaide event this November, Tsunoda jumped at it. Makes sense, right? A driver starved of competitive laps finally getting a shot to just race a car. Red Bull said no. They blocked it. Event organizers confirmed it themselves. Shro Motorsports Australia chief Ben McMillan came out and said they're still hunting for a big-name driver to fill that now empty seat. Because, and this is the interesting part, they wanted the Verstappen effect. See, when Max raced in GT3 this year, most notably at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, attendance and interest spiked. Journalists actually coined the term the Max Verstappen effect because of it. Even his own team, Verstappen Racing, competing without Max himself behind the wheel, has been pulling in more eyeballs than GT3 racing has seen in years. So Red Bull clearly understands the value of letting a driver loose in GT3. They just don't want Tsunoda doing it. Now officially we don't have Red Bull's reasoning. GP Fans has reached out for comment, but you don't need a press release to read between the lines here. A driver with no race seat, no confirmed 2027 plans. And now no permission to even go race somewhere else for fun. That's not a great look. That's a team keeping tight control over a driver they don't seem to have a clear plan for. And that's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Because here's the thing, Tsunoda isn't the only Red Bull driver whose future is up in the air. The bigger name obviously is Max Verstappen. Verstappen currently sits 6th in the championship. 6th for a 4-time world champion. That's not just disappointing, it's contractually significant. Because that position has reportedly triggered a performance clause in his deal with Red Bull. Translation, Max might not need Red Bull's permission to walk. The car hasn't been fast enough. The team sits 4th in the Constructors' Championship, and after a wave of senior personnel departures at Red Bull throughout this rebuild period, people are starting to ask, is this still the same team that won Max 4 titles? Verstappen himself has tried to calm things down. Speaking to Formula.u, he pushed back on the idea that Red Bull is in rebuild mode at all. I wouldn't call it a rebuild, he said. There's really nothing to rebuild because the team has a very strong structure that continues to work. It's not that some people left and now nobody knows what to do. It's not a rebuild, it's just fine-tuning. He even called Red Bull his second family, saying he loves working with the people there and that everyone is constantly pushing for perfection. Nice words. But words don't erase a performance clause. Words don't put Red Bull back on top of the constructors' table. And words definitely haven't stopped the paddock from speculating. This is where it gets really interesting. Veteran F1 journalist Mark Hughes, someone who's covered this sport for over 2 decades, has come out with a bold take. If Verstappen leaves Red Bull, he shouldn't go to McLaren, he should go to Aston Martin. Why? One word. Adrian Newey. Newey, the legendary designer behind Red Bull's dominant era, is now at Aston Martin as team principal and technical partner, and Hughes argues that Newey's fingerprints are already showing. Aston Martin's aggressive high-rake philosophy, a concept Newey basically perfected during his Red Bull years, is back. And after upgrades in Hungary, the car is finally trending in the right direction. Hughes even points out that Newey pushed the team to build a B-spec car for mid-season instead of endlessly tweaking the current one, a sign, he says, of a designer thinking several steps ahead, willing to sacrifice short-term results for long-term gains. His advice to Max: don't just chase the fastest car on the grid right now, chase the guy who's rebuilt championship-winning cars from scratch before. And it's not just Verstappen Hughes is talking to, he's also urging Fernando Alonso to commit to Aston Martin's project rather than walk away. So now the picture gets even more complicated. McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin, or staying put. And just when the speculation train was picking up speed, Max's own father stepped in. Reports out of the Netherlands suggested Max was preparing to recommit to Red Bull for 2027, supposedly negotiating a bigger salary in exchange for removing the exit clause that currently lets him leave before his contract runs out at the end of 2028. Jos Verstappen's response? Blunt. He replied directly on social media, telling people flat out, you know absolutely nothing. That's it. No details, no confirmation, no denial of a stay, just a straight-up rejection of the specific report. Meanwhile, German journalist Ralf Bach offered his own read on the situation, suggesting Max might actually be leaning towards staying, not because Red Bull deserves it, but because the alternatives feel risky in F1's new regulatory era. Bach even said Max might push for just another 1-year deal to see how the new rules shake out before committing further. Bach was also skeptical about a McLaren move, pointing to the fact that McLaren runs Mercedes customer engines and the lingering belief in the paddock that Mercedes will always favor its own works team when it comes to software and development advantages. As for Mercedes itself, Toto Wolff was spotted holidaying near Verstappen in Sardinia again this summer. But according to Bach, Mercedes chairman Ola Kalanius has effectively closed that door already, given how strongly he backs Kimi Antonelli internally. So where does that leave us? Let's recap. Red Bull just blocked their own reserve driver from racing in GT3, a series where a Red Bull-linked name has proven to be a massive draw. Their star driver sits 6th in the championship with a performance clause hanging over his head. A respected journalist is publicly telling him to run to Adrian Newey, and Max's own father is out here shutting down contract rumors in real time. This isn't noise. This is a team that suddenly looks less certain of itself than it has in years. So here's what we want from you. If you think Red Bull owes their drivers, both Max and Yuki, more transparency, more opportunity, and more respect, go send that message directly. Head to Twitter, tag Red Bull Racing and Max Verstappen, and make it clear. Drivers deserve clarity, not silence. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does Max stay at Red Bull, or is 2027 the year everything changes? Like this video, subscribe for daily F1 breakdowns, and we'll see you in the next one.